Kicking it with a little Snoop Dogg. Hey America, Chef John at Ghetto Gourmet. I'm gonna make some bread. I'm gonna talk about something kind of heavy, man. Called the end of the drug war. Okay. Right now we have medical marijuana. It's on the streets. People are starting to feel different about. I'm gonna talk to you straight for a second before I do this. What I have here is 2.5 cups of bread flour, a handful of crushed toasted sesame seeds and cashew seeds. All right, just a little handful. A good tablespoon of yeast, a teaspoon of salt. There's a little bit of salt. I put it on a different side of the yeast. Also, I have some rye sourdough, and I'm going to add in about 8 ounces. Almost half. And what I'm shooting for is a whole loaf in a pan. Okay, so there we go. I made it glass so you guys can see. So now I'm gonna catch that and get some water. I'm gonna refeed that in a second, but I'm gonna let it cook for a while, meaning that I want it to get the temperature and I want the yeast to live. Now what I'm also doing is I'm gonna do one proof. I'm not gonna do a punch down like I've been doing. I'm gonna do one proof. I'm going to see how that works. I'm going to knead the bread because I've been getting a really good initial proof. And I just want to go to the initial baking of this. So, okay, now I want to talk about the end of the drug war and what we're going to see. All right, and we're already seeing the beginning of it, and it's smack dab in the middle of Washington, D.C. area. And that's pretty much where it needs to be because this is the people we need to look at. We need the whole country to look at what's going on. The children that are being displaced, people are like, oh, you're talking about immigration. No, I'm talking about children. And I'm talking about children in a war-torn country, which is war-torn country because of the drug war. And we really need to put that into perspective. My dad told me, like, you know, a couple of years ago about the weed I was getting. He goes, 64,000 people just got killed over 6 months. How do you feel about that in Mexico? And I'm like, I would feel really bad about that. But my weed wasn't coming from Mexico. It was homegrown here in Eugene. And that was back when, you know, I've told you all I was an addict years ago. And so weed was part of the game. Now, we are ending the drug war. Why? Because prosecution isn't working. It's costing lots of money. Prevention and treatment is more viable in the long run because you got to give them prevention anyways. And after, like, you have to give them treatment anyway. So after like 5 years of treatment, maybe it starts sticking and working. I'm telling you the truth, man. Okay? So what we have is generation after generation that have been stuck in this drug war. Now, if you're in a third world country and cocaine is the it, and you got cartels running your country and gangs running your country and drugs are cheap, man, you have a serious problem. So every one person here has got a problem. 10 people in these third world nations, and this is all Latin America and down through South America, man, they're having some serious problems. That's why all these kids are coming, okay? Yeah, we have our own kids who are drug addicts. Man, the whole thing is coming to a head. All right? So now here's the important part. Here is the very important part about treatment and prevention as opposed to prosecution. There is a mind state that comes with doing something that is socially unacceptable. And that is smoking marijuana. As soon as you step in, and saying it just like that, you ain't smoking weed, chronic, another, smoking marijuana. All right? Saying it like that, you know, we have all these people jumping up with their little rules about how you should smoke weed and all that. One, children should never know about it, ever, ever, ever know about it. Okay? You read all my stuff. Go look at all my stuff, and everything I've ever said is prevention and treatment, and children should not know about the drugs in the street. They should not know about the weed. All right? This is us adults, and we need to handle a problem that we started. And we started because we weren't looking at what was going on in the ghettos, and we weren't looking at what was going on in third world countries, and we were yelling and screaming, and Hollywood was like drugs and drugs and drugs and drug war, and, and kids are all gangster, and so here we are, generations later, man. And things is, kids can still be cool, man, and still be kicking it. You know what I mean? And they don't have to have gangsters as their idols. The gangsters can be like, hey, man, I'm making gangster rappers, and the people out there be like, man, I'm making music and rap, and I want to change my community. I want to be a better community, man. And the fact that I don't like coming out and saying my medical thing, but I say it for a reason, dude. The only reason I can talk to you right now and do my dishes and write the letters that I do, and be a community activist, and be the outside marketing consultant on my own time for Hope Community Preschool and Church. All right, I fix the grounds on my own time, and I do not interact with the children. All right, that is not my job. We have a director, Palin White, who has a master's in education, and that is her job and her mother's job. And they're Bill White, who is the pastor, and he runs the whole kit and caboodle. That's not my job. All right, my job is what I just told you. All right, I have respect, because that's first and very foremost what we need to have in this. And we don't need to have people making all these laws about it. We need to have simple respect. All right. Now, a lot of people are going to be on medical marijuana for whatever reasons, because we're going to start finding out that it cures a lot of things as the sciences start getting stronger on it. And we're going to have to lay off on how we feel about people smoking. And the people smoking it need to be respectful of the people who don't smoke. Okay? And the community around them. I've got lots of kids who I hang out with in the community. Not a single one of them knows, and I don't want a single one of them to know. All right? I might even put R-rated on this thing so they don't watch. Kids don't really want to make bread much anyways, but still. All right? This is adult talk. All right? Now, you guys are like, why am I saying all this? This doesn't really it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. And you're looking at it logically, and you're looking at it morally, but I want you to look at it now pathetically. All right? If you've seen the movie Counselor, and they talk about, his beautiful wife is what happens to her, and just the vileness of the reality of the gangster havens and cartels and men who have too much money are just evil and just will do whatever they want with it, And I'm talking to all G's, all that. Yeah, I'm still alive, and I've still been saying this as long as I've been living, 13 years, started Peace Up 13 years ago and started talking about this. And this is all for the next generation. It's all for the children. It's also, they don't have to grow up running around trying to hustle their lives and make their money off of some kind of hustle. All right, so we got that all mixed together. It's kind of a sticky, wet dough. Our water's boiling. I'm going to put it in the oven now and get it nice and steamy in there. Okay, so now you guys, I've written some stories that are really, really powerful, okay? And the Counselor was a story. But I want you to imagine that these young children, all right, are the ones who escaped, all right? There are ones who are there who didn't escape. In other words, they're dead. They've been through atrocities and things that we just cannot fathom here in American culture, because it is a third world culture, because these people, these cartels have money and power like you would not believe. And whose money is it? Who have they been running on? Okay? This old drug war isn't working. you know, and it's just, I mean, it's hard to put it all together, but at least if we start growing weed at home, at least we got that under control. At least we can help people medically with it, because honestly, you know, it's a terrible thing if it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot, and I can't live. And I like to live, man. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty fair that, and I do a lot to give back. I think I do my fair share. I inspire a lot of people. But I need my help to do it. I also take 2 prescribed medications. You know what I mean? 3. I take 3. So it's none of your business, but they all are. I've talked about this before. So I've also talked about the fact that I'm an addict in recovery. So I'm looking at this thing from all aspects, man. I'm looking at it from a kid who walked into the ghetto and at 16 and saw all the families and the Afro-American and Mexicans, and all this out, and communities, what I call the social community, and how the drug war drove everybody inside. And you know, we got put in the cubicles, little boxes. We don't watch anybody anymore. There's no more good parties. You know, it's like, come on, man. If everything is, if you build a system so the people got to get shadier and shadier and hustle more and more and more, and that's where more and more of the money goes to, and it's leaving the American country. It's like so silly, because 90% of everything sold right now, it's happening all the time, all the time, all the time. You know, not just you know, I mean the other drugs too, but like weed is a lot of money, man. And it's not that bad. And if we channel it all into prevention in the children, all into, you got to read my stuff, The Eye of Thor. And you got to read the last paragraph of like the homeless conversation that I had is a bite out of a conversation that I was having with the mayor. And also about Peace Up Generations. You got to understand where I'm coming from. You really got to see me deep, man. You got to be like, this dude's an OSG. He's talking real. He's talking to the whole community. He's talking to whole America right now. And he's saying, man, hey, look, something's going down right now. And it's like big. And we've got fallout. We got collateral fallout of children at our doorsteps. That's why they're having a mad rush, dude. It's bad. Okay? Good God. I mean, you got refugees halfway across the world, and we call them savages, some people do. And I'm like, I just call them people, man. And now we got refugees at our doorstep. Because of what? Because of cartels and drug war and, like, you know, being forced in the gangs. And, dude, it all, I mean, you know, we need to change this. We got to make being in a MC, man. When I say I'm a brother, and if I was ever to be in an MC, I would say I was a brother. And that means something, man. I'm not no outlaw. I'm trying to build community. You know what I mean? And I build the community best way I know how. You know what I mean? And like I say in my paperwork, blood money is meant to grow communities. And when the man asked me, who would I give the money to if I was the trigger man on Osama bin Laden? And I said the women and children, and he said, yeah, what women and children? I said, of America. And this is a helicopter gunner, man, HA, man, old school. And he's asking me these questions, giving me this answer. He says, no, you give it to the women and children of Afghanistan. That's what we got going on right now, man. We got the women and children of Central America, and we've got the women and children of America, USA, United States of America, brothers, sisters, who've all been dying in this senseless 30-year war that we created and we watched on TV on cops, and this bread is starting to get nice and tight. See? All right, I'm gonna put you guys down. And you know, we made it happen. So now we got to fix our mistake, and it's going to take a while to do it. First and foremost, we have to do prevention and treatment. Maybe this will work better. No, I don't think so. All right, we have to do prevention, which is the biggest and foremost, which meaning we got to have a lot of the community who are the elders, who know a lot of the trade secrets. Really cool stuff, leather working, iron working. I've talked about that before. Come out and show these young kids. We need guys who are bike enthusiasts, there were skaters, music enthusiasts, art enthusiasts, dude, sculptures, all sorts of people just to come out and start creating programs for these kids to see this stuff while they're still young. And we need the really cool people, the G's and the, you know, the hip hoppers and all them soldiers and, you know, who talk this and that and bad and all. It's let's start talking about like being bad to raise your community, man. You know what I mean? Be a tough guy for that, man. Find some honor, dude. That's the #1 belief on peace up, man. You know, the goal is no man, woman, or child to live in poverty, terror. That's a hell of a goal. But the first belief is honor, to do what is most feared, because it must be done. An expression of duty, loyalty, and love, man. So that's what I'm saying. We gotta look at these people coming from this country. I don't want to start telling their stories before they tell their stories, because we're going to hear their stories in like 6 months, because reporters are going to be like, hey, maybe these people are talking about something that we need to know about. And they're going to start talking, and they're all speaking in Spanish now and Portuguese and all these different languages. But once they start telling the horror stories, and once, you know, they've already got internment camps, there's a reason for this. There's a reason that we're letting these people into the country. It's not like they're just jumping the border. Something really, really, really bad is happening in their country, and they don't have control over it. And the governments don't have control over it. They lost it because we're the only ones left. And Europe, you know, who's buying this, you know, and Asia, we got to change somewhere. And at least the small idea of medical marijuana, I hope this is big enough, will help us have a lot of people come out and say, hey man, these people are, they can really produce something. They can really create, and it's better than we send our money somewhere else where 5 to 10 people get killed over it. It's better that we lock these people up. It's better that we create a financial gain in not just security. Yeah, it's a recreation. So we have also business. We also have sciences. So sciences can really start looking at this and saying, hey man, what can we really cure with this? Because I know I have the craziest disease in the world. And I sure as heck don't understand what in it that makes me be able to operate. But, you know, it's like, I like not falling down, you know? I like not going like that and having spasms that are uncontrollable and ripping apart, because they really hurt. They wear me out, you know? It's a lot to ask somebody to go through all the time. Alright, so the way I should test this is I should go like this and make a window and see how it tears. And it's not into a window yet, so I gotta need it a little bit more. This is still about cooking, dudes. You know? Look, I've seen a lot of things in my life. I've read a lot of things. I understand community, you know, in the sense that I've seen so many levels of it. I've seen what it is to come from, you know, hobnobbing with, like, you know, the president's daughter and bigwigs in Washington, D.C., and then having a big family. So I got to see all sorts of people. And Grandma, she was pretty important. And my parents were pretty important. They were white. So, you know, I got around. And then once I turned over like 18, 19, and I was in an institution, once I got out, I was black. No, I was kind of tan then. I was a high yellow. And the drug war started kicking my ass, man. It took, I mean, just read about the beating, man. I was just a weed smoker, dude. Why'd they have to, like, you know, my kid never came home. It affected 30 years of my life. it affected me 13 years ago when I needed treatment and my lady was pregnant. She needed treatment and we needed the community to stand up and nobody did. Even our PO just, you know, I screwed up the most because I wasn't the man to handle it. But, you know, there's sometimes when you need help, man, you just got to have help. And if your community ain't there, if you can't walk out your door, people look at you and go, damn, dude, you don't look good today at all. You know, that's what you need. You can't be hiding up in your house, you know. I'm just speaking off the top of my head about some things, you know. It is a thing to lose your shame. It is a thing to have empathy and love for people in suffering, and to recognize that suffering is something, you know. Telling somebody earlier, man, what a Maltese is, you know. It's like, it stands for the Knights of St. John of Hospitallers. If anybody wants to go and look it up, I'm not going to go into the whole dissertation about how the Knights moved and what their real job was, but to say it in short, man, we're at the end. People keep, I've heard it like 3 times today. The drug war is ending, the drug war is ending. I'm like, man, well, look out. There's the people running this are just, they're doing twists and turns, you know, and people underground, they ain't too sure about the whole thing, you know what I mean? Nobody's come up with something that says to the people underground, hey, we got jobs, and we'll keep your jobs. And you'll be able to pass down a better life to your kids. Nobody said that to them yet. I think they need to hear that. I think it needs to be made possible. Not just to the hippies and the white guys who are smart and the geeks and the business guys who are, you know, we need it back a little bit in the ghetto. We need some of these cats who know how to roll. And we need to give them good jobs. So, hey, man. So they're not out gangbanging, man. Come on, if we're going to get real, let's get real with this, right? Let's not all the, you know, just because a brother don't have that much education, don't mean he can't be an asset to your business. You know, bring him in, educate him. I say that because I'm in Oregon and I find the lacking in education all around. And I'm from a place where people are really educated. And I became highly more educated while I was here. And that's because I chose to do that while I was in prison, as well as at the boot camp. Somebody was like, man, you were happy to be at prison? I'm like, yeah, at boot camp I was. Let's see if we still need this nicely. Starting to get tight. I'm like, yeah, man, 6 months to like, just change everything about me, and professionals to help me to do it, and the tools to learn, you know what I mean? And the boot camp helped make me who I am today, man. So did Lane Community College. So did going through drug court, man. So did the fight after drug court, man, and deciding that it was better to walk away from my home and lose all my things than it was to lose my college career, than it was to lose my safety, than it was to be around it anymore. Because when you got like like I had it in the alley and like, it's crazy. I ain't to that point in the book yet. Y'all gotta just see. I've been taking a it's kind of late. I ran and then I went to my doctor and I was shaking real bad earlier. I've been shaking most of the day. And then I got some good medicine and I cleaned my dishes. And now my body's starting to say, hey man, you ran earlier today too. You're hungry. But that's why I'm making bread. I think bread is just, yeah. All right, so I'm going to take it just like that. All right. Roll that together in a nice pinch. All right. And I am going to put that right into our loaf pan. All right. Just toss it in the oven. I've got that that boiling hot water in the oven. Well, I'm not going to open it again, but there's that boiling hot water in there. It cooled down a little bit. All right. I know that was some heavy talk, and it wasn't really about culinary. This bread has been built up with flax seeds, and rye, and white flour, and then started getting into the bread flour. And now I'm doing 2 cups bread flour, about 8 ounces of the flour, the rye mixed with the. I'm gonna put you down, all right? I know my limitations, man. You know what I mean? It's and then you guys are sitting here going, "Well, you say it makes you better," and then it's like this, man. I can be popping and jumping like a yo-yo and not be able to talk to you guys at all, and be so twisted up and bouncing that I'm sweating and it looks like I'm in a seizure sometimes, you know, and I'm in so much pain that I just don't want to be here, okay? And there's only a few ways not to be here. There's sleep, and there's like taking really hardcore drugs from the pharmacist, like Oxycontin or morphine. There's death, and then, you know, there's just something that's pretty innocuous considering I've done it for 30 years, off and on. It's good to have clean time in your life. I've talked about that before. You got to read Peace Up Dragon, you know. Yeah, I'm daring you guys. I'm like daring a lot of you to like read Peace Up Dragon, to read my stuff on my blog, Thor. This bread is kind of a drug war dare, man. If you think if you think you really stand for something, then read what I wrote, and then imagine a man walking with what I wrote for 13 years and talking it. You know, I don't tell nobody's name, but I tell the truth all the same. Tell you my story. All right, peace up, y'all. Thor making some bread. Y'all have a good night, man.